Ryan, since you had been at Gartner and for a long time, etc., it'll be great to know your perspective of the hype cycle. So let's kind of hear about what is the hype cycle about and how to use it. What are the benefits? And let's deconstruct hype cycle a little bit. And once we deconstruct, then we are going to go deeper into it, find out what's new this year, what went away from previous years hype cycle, and do a deeper dive. So let's start with your view on the hype cycle. Let's deconstruct hype cycle. What's it all about and how to use it?
Yeah, no, it's a great way for, and I like the hype cycle as well. It's a great snapshot into the like both products and services that customers are starting to use, like this one specifically for security operations, that are either being adopted now or going to be adopted. Like we're kind of looking to the future. But I think what's great, especially from someone who's I've done a lot of actually deploying these and helping customers integrate these, is it helps us on that side to be able to look at like, let's take SIEM for example. Like a lot of customers have been doing this for years, integrating and buying SIEM and trying to make use of it. And when you look at it where it is on the cycle now, where it's been around for, let's call it like 15, 20 years now, and it's just now at kind of that slope of enlightenment. It helps you as a consumer be like, wow, this really is hard to do right. Right? I probably do need help to implement this because it's been around for a long time, and people are still at the point now where they're not fully at a point where it's fully productive for them. They're still finding new ways to do it. So when I look at each one of these pieces on the cycle, when I'm trying to implement these or looking for ideas of what's the next thing I need to do within my security operations team, right, to get better visibility, to detect things faster, to be able to respond, like these are probably the things that I want to look at, and it helps me understand how hard is this going to be, right? If I know I need threat intelligence, well, a lot of people right now it's in the trough, right? People have a hard time making use of threat intelligence services or feeds. So it's going to help me understand going into it that, what are the gotchas that I'm going to do when I buy a service or a new TI feed, and the things I should be focused on to make sure I can get some value out of it. Or maybe it's not the right time to go through that one because people aren't seeing the value in it yet. So I think that it helps us look at that in a holistic view so we can kind of attack what's the best next step for me as a customer or a consumer, to pick which projects go forward in the next year.
Yeah, yeah. So interestingly, I mean, the way Gartner did this, and I love that. I mean, there are like, I guess four stages, right, or phases, whatever you might call. The first is the innovation trigger, where something new comes up and people kind of see there's a new star, which got born, kind of stuff. There's a lot of limelight, a lot of enthusiasm, and then there's a lot of height of expectations, right? So that's the peak of inflected expectation, which is the second phase. And then I guess the expectation sometimes is slightly more than it deserves, and then there is a little bit of disillusionment because when you try to implement it, you see, well, here's something is not working, things might not be mature, it might not be perfect for your use case, etc. So there's a disillusionment phase, which is the third phase. And finally, the enlightenment phase, where people become more pragmatic and understand what works well, what doesn't, and finally you hit the plateau, right? So kind of five phases, and not four. So these are the five phases through which any technology kind of goes through in its life cycle. And sometimes what happens is some of these technologies could just disappear in between in one of those. It's not necessary everything has to go eventually to the plateau or the enlightenment phase. So there could be few technologies which could become part of something else. Generally, it doesn't disappear completely. It gets morphed into something else. It gets merged into something else. So that's the reason why the hype cycle also changes every year.